newspapers with our press reviewer Elena Casas. She joins me in the studio now. Hello, Elena.
Hello again, Lorna.
So, major summit opening in Paris today. A big thing for the French newspapers, talking about the rebuilding of Libya. What are they saying about it?
Well, Libération leads on Libya year zero. Inside, they say today is the real day that marks the end of the conflict and the beginning of the new Libya. But the real business for the National Transitional Council in their visit to Paris and meeting with foreign leaders today won't be quite so much political as financial. They need to work to get as many of Libya's billions of funds which are being held in foreign banks unblocked quickly as possible so they can start paying salaries to civil servants again. And also they need to encourage some of those NATO countries at that meeting today to give some donations and help them rebuild the country. The Libération does come up with one useful source of money, though, for the National Transitional Council, which is, of course, Libya's oil reserves. And they also let us know how French companies are already manoeuvring to take control of them. They published a letter which was sent by the National Transitional Council in Benghazi to their backers in Qatar on the 3rd of April, which is just 2 weeks after the beginning of the French-backed intervention, in which the politicians in Benghazi promised that they're going to give the French company Total 35% of Libya's oil if they ever take power in the country, in order to pay France back for having helped them out with planes and the military intervention and so on. So Libération, of course, points out that this will add fuel to those who say that one of Nicolas Sarkozy's main motivations for intervening in the first place was to do with oil. And although that's something that you might normally expect the left-wing paper to jump on, as they're always quite keen to criticise the president, the editorial today actually is full of praise for him, saying that thanks to his policies, France is now back in sync with the Arab world, and that they should now make the most of this moment and the most of France's connections with North Africa and, of course, the millions of French people who are of North African origin to capitalise both commercially and politically on France's good standing in the region at the moment.
OK, well, let's stay with French politics, perhaps a more domestic note. We were talking yesterday about revelations from the judge who investigated the Liliane Bettencourt case, that L'Oréal heiress. The judge said witnesses had told her they saw Nicolas Sarkozy receiving envelopes stuffed with cash from Liliane Bettencourt. How have the papers been following up on that today?
Well, this is a complicated saga, as you were saying, but the latest twist is on the front page of Le Parisien. The Bettencourt affair, the judge and the president is their headline. Now, what's now happened is that Liliane Bettencourt's nurse, who was the original source quoted by the judge for this rumour that she saw Sarkozy receive envelopes full of cash in campaign funding from Bettencourt, France's richest woman, has now denied that she ever said that. And right-wing politicians loyal to Nicolas Sarkozy have also been queuing up yesterday to deny that he ever received any illegal campaign funding from Bettencourt, or that he ever would have done so. So that's been very strongly denied, the paper says. Okay. They also have a cartoon in there sort of making the most of it, which shows Sarkozy saying, if Liliane had given me money, she of course would remember. And Bettencourt, who is famously reported to be senile, saying, who is this man? And Le Monde have made the most of it also today on their front page. They've got a cartoon in which she's sitting in a pot of cash saying, but I thought I did pay my taxes, capitalising then, of course, on the letter that was signed by her, amongst other wealthy French people last week, saying that they would like to pay more tax.
OK, and the right-wing Le Figaro, true to form, focusing on the problems of the opposition socialists at the moment.
Yes, which they do, as we know, virtually every day. This morning they've got Deas Kaz back as their front-page headline. They're saying that French politicians who were defending him until quite recently are now scrambling to distance themselves from him because they're worried his bad behaviour might make the party look bad.
OK, well, thanks very much indeed, Elena, for that look at all today's French newspapers. And let's move on now to what's coming up a little bit later on